Check it. Alright, y'all, what is up? You are back for another video with Data Zero. In this video, we look at SPY and we look at AMC and GME, our two favorite meme stocks. In this video, I look at the technicals, fundamentals, and psychology for these three stocks. And I do sound a little bit off today because I am a little bit under the weather, so I do apologize if I sound a little bit off, but we're going to go ahead and knock this video out anyways. In this video, we look at those three stocks, go through the fundamentals, technicals, and psychology to make sure we have confluence on those three things to make sure we are on the right track and doing the opposite of the herd. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and hop in the charts, the facts, the data, and see what we have going on.
What is up? You are back for another video with Data Zero. I do apologize if my voice sounds a little bit off and I do not have the normal energy as usual. I am feeling a little bit under the weather, but we're still going to get through this video anyways. We're going to look at the S&P 500. We're going to look at AMC. We're going to look at SPY, more specifically AMC and GME stock, giving you guys weekly predictions on what's going on for the rest of the week based off the psychology, based off the fundamentals, and the technical data. So let's go ahead and hop in the charts and see what we have going on. So we're going to look at S&P 500 on the smaller time frame and then start working our way out. We're going to do that for AMC and GME. S&P 500 or SPY, more specifically, this is SPY. S&P 500 has a 4,000 range. SPY is in the 400 range. As you guys can see, SPY is making this bull flag and moving to the upside. We had this bull flag accumulation over this past week, and it is setting up for that major exit liquidity dump, this massive rug pull that the market is setting up for. There's a massive rug pull incoming, and they are about to exit liquidity dump all over retail's head. Once retail starts to FOMO into these positions, they now have mainstream media out there pumping S&P 500, pumping NASDAQ, telling you that this thing's going to go to all-time highs, telling you this thing's going to go to the moon, all-time highs again. I'm telling you guys, that is not what is happening. It's very, very clear what is happening based off of the psychology and the technicals, but we'll get that in a second. So you are going to see the mainstream media start to come out and say that the bear market is over, that it's bullish, because they have very large positions that they need to use liquidity to get out of this position. So what we're going to see is the S&P 500 start to FOMO rally up to the upside, have a nice pump to the upside. People are going to get really excited. A lot of greed is going to be in play, and then you're going to see it start to move sideways, start to have basically signs of weakness, and then start to see major capitulation to the downside. Now, this could take a while, as the S&P 500 does have a upsloping resistance in this massive bear flag, one of the nastiest bear flags I have ever seen. A bear flag is a bearish technical with a massive drop to the downside. This upwards consolidation chop is a bear flag, especially after you have this massive pull, upwards consolidation chop, and drop to the downside. It's also the complacency stage, as we did just come out of a massive bull run, a secular bull run, massive bull run for many, many years, as we had an optimism belief. And if you go ahead and look at the overlay of the charts for the S&P 500 on the larger time frames, you guys can see it looks exactly as if that chart. You guys can see that we had this massive euphoria rally. This is the pump to the downside. Now you're moving to the upside in what's called complacency stage. We just need to cool off before the next rally, but that is not what's happening. We're about to see a major push to the downside into capitulation, anger, and depression. We can already see that AMC and GME has already ran through these phases. We had this euphoria rally here. This was our complacency stage. We were already dumped down into anger and complacency stage and starting to move back to the upside as we were leaving the anger stage and starting to enter the disbelief rally for AMC and GME on the macro time frames. Both are entering disbelief rallies. Both are about to move to the upside. On the monthly time frame, you guys can see we're about to get a green monthly cross, which means a massive bull run is coming. Also, you guys can see Bollinger Bands are constricting for these stocks with a huge macro falling wedge, which is a bullish continuation pattern, telling us that all-time highs or higher is coming for AMC and GME. It's very, very evident. It's just going to take time to play out because the macro takes time to play out. That just is what it is. It wouldn't be the macro if it didn't take time to play out. But you can see both of these stocks are in massive falling wedges, which are bullish continuation patterns to the upside, telling us that all-time highs are coming for for these stocks. I've done many videos on this. Go ahead and check out my channel to find more videos. So for the S&P 500 or SPY, more specifically SPY, we are going to see more upside, a green weekly candle for this week. We're probably going to have a nice weekly candle, see a pump to the upside, start seeing it consolidating, and your guys are going to have to tune in because this upsloping resistance keeps moving to the upside as it keeps moving to the upside as time goes on. So keep tuning in to see where the sloping resistance is. But if we rally to the upside right now, it would be out about 438, 439 in that region. So my price target is going to slightly increase as the upsloping resistance goes on and time goes on for the max out target of the S&P 500 and SPY. But we are going to see that pullback in the longer time frame, and we're going to see that complacency stage start to wear off, see that major dump to the downside, this bear flag play out, and start seeing us down near these COVID lows and highs. That is what's going to happen here in the future. Just wait and see. Not trying to sound arrogant and cocky, just letting you guys know what is up. Let's go ahead and check out AMC and GME after looking at some fundamental data for S&P 500, showing us that we are right in our conclusions. So this is confluence. This is letting us know that we are on the right path, letting our know our technical analysis is right, and this is why I have a high accuracy rating. I want you guys to be able to do the same thing. Look at the technicals. Look at the fundamentals to back up your technicals. Technicals are number one. Psychology is number one. Use those as your two fundamental principles, and then use the fundamentals to use confluence to make sure you're on the right path. So as you guys can see, we are in fear and greed for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. The market is in extreme greed. It's an extreme greed. You always want to do the opposite of the herd. That way you can buy the bottoms and sell the tops, okay? This is a relative top. It's going to be a slightly lower high for the S&P 500. This is exactly what we're seeing come to fruition. So you have a top here, then a slightly lower high, then a dump to the downside. That is exactly what's going to happen for the market psychology, and the technicals are saying that as well. And you always want to do the opposite of the herd. You want to buy at the bottom when people are fearful and be greedy when people are fearful, and you want to be fearful when people are greedy. You always want to do the opposite of the herd. So you can see that the market is in extreme greed. This means you want to be fearful. You not want to be taking long-term long positions. You want to be fearful, selling off your positions, getting out of the market, getting ready for the dump to the downside, and doing the opposite of the herd. Now, I know it's very hard to do the opposite of the herd, but if you look at the technicals, the emotions, and the psychology of this, you can understand what is going on very, very clearly and go against the herd. You can see that we have core inflation rating year over year coming out, and inflation rating month over month coming out. We also have PPI coming out month over month. Fed rate, interest rate decisions. So if they do raise the rates, and this is another thing, with the rates being raised, we haven't even seen the consequences of the rates being raised yet. So that is a lagging effect, meaning it's like 18 months lagging effect. So we won't even see the effect of the first rate hikes until 18 months later. When this thing hits, it's gonna be nasty, okay? It's gonna be nasty, and that's why we're gonna see more downside for the S&P 500 as the overall macro economy is bearish as well. Inflation is raging, and that's why I talk about things like Bitcoin, which have a fixed market cap, which they are currently trying to shake people out of and steal your Bitcoin, because it's going to be one of the most valuable assets here in the near future. If we go ahead and look at the other data for AMC, you can see that there are 0 shares available to borrow. Let's go ahead and hop into the technicals for AMC and then GME and look at the fundamental data for those two stocks. So same thing for S&P 500. We're going to go ahead and run through this thing for AMC, looking at AMC on the short term and then moving our way out to the longer time frame. So as you guys can see, AMC is in this ascending triangle and also in a overall uptrend. This is very, very, very bullish. Again, I already went over the psychology for AMC, letting you guys know that this is the disbelief rally. This is a sucker's rally. People don't believe that it's about to move to the upside. We can see little pullbacks, little capitulation like that, but we're going to go into the hope, optimism phase and start moving into a secular bull run for AMC, as crazy as that sounds. And when I say a bull run, I mean like this. So you can see how this massive uptrend started from this point to this point. That's what's going to happen again. We're going to go in another uptrend. As you guys can see with the market psychology, we're going into another uptrend and going to have another euphoria rally. We are disconnected from the overall market, and AMC is going to move against the overall market. When the market starts to go to the downside, AMC is going to start going to the upside. We have proof of this because they hold short collateral positions with blue chip stocks like AMC or with Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, blue chips like that. They hold for short collateral for AMC stock. So when we see those stocks come to the downside, AMC starts to pump to the upside, as well as margin calls and liquidity dries up. That causes AMC to go to the upside as well. There's many reasons why a crash or the market coming to the downside can cause AMC to go to the upside, as well as the psychology and fundamentals as well. So we are looking very good on the short time frame, on the longer time frame as well. Weekly time frame, something I just want to point out real quick for you guys. Bollinger Bands is constricting. This is something I talk about a lot with green weekly MACD. Last time we had those things, we had this run up here and this run up here. We're also breaking out of the macro falling wedge. Very bullish for, again, a continuation to the upside. This is a bullish continuation pattern, letting us know that we're going to have more upside for AMC. Again, when we go down into the smaller time frames, you guys can see that we're in this ascending triangle and that overall uptrend that I was just telling you about. I am very bullish for next week. Next week is going to be a green week for AMC, as I did predict a green week for AMC last week, and that is the candle that we printed. As you guys can see, we do have that green weekly candle that I printed, or that I predicted. That did happen, and we're going to have another green week for AMC. You can see that the Bollinger Bands are constricting. People that are saying AMC is about to crash because they're following ETH Classic or stuff like that, I'm sorry, but they don't know what they're talking about. AMC is about to move to the upside, and it's about to be very bullish. You guys can see that we have this MACD cross right here to the upside with the bullish MACD cross on the daily time frame. We also have Bollinger Bands constricting us, letting us know that volatility is coming. Now, it doesn't tell us which way the volatility is going to be, but it's going to be a big move, and because of the MACD cross, it's going to be to the upside. Also technicals as well with this ascending triangle and this falling wedge, letting us know that we're going to be retesting this local high of $6.10. Just like the macro falling wedge, this is a bullish continuation pattern. You could take your high from your low to get a breakout target, and you guys can see that we have a breakout target off the falling wedge alone based off of $6.72. And if you look at the overall picture of it, it's very peculiar, because if you look at this falling wedge and then this formation here, it's kind of like what it's doing on the larger time frames. As you guys can see, we have this falling wedge, and then it's kind of making ascending triangle right now. If we go ahead and mark it in red, I'm going to go ahead and give you your horizontal breakout point for the ascending triangle. Mark it in red, and then look, as you guys can see right here's your ascending triangle with the breakout of your falling wedge. And then if you go ahead and zoom into the smaller time frame, you guys can see the same thing. Falling wedge with your ascending triangle, and then we're going to break out to the upside. So it's very peculiar that you're seeing these things, these fractals play out. This is going to move to the upside. Again, this is more confirmation that we are going to move to the upside. Using the bars pattern as a guide, but not the official technical analysis, because we can determine more easily what's going on based off the charts. But you guys can use the bars pattern as a guide. You can see that the bars pattern is calling for a little bit of sideways chop and then a push to the upside to about that 550 525 region. If you go ahead and look at what the technicals are saying, and normally when they confluence together like this, that is a good indication that it's going to happen. We can see that we're looking at a little bit of sideways chop and then a move up to that 550 off breakout target based off of this ascending triangle, and then based off of this falling wedge, a higher breakout target. So we are going to continue to the upside. This uptrend is going to continue. It's going to break out and move into the hope phase, and then start going into the euphoria phase, and then we are going to start seeing AMC pop off. Again, the points to look out for are the $6.20 high. It's a major breakout point. Once we get the $6.20 high of this ascending triangle, you're going to see AMC pop up to this golden zone of $8 to $12. Once AMC breaks the golden zone of $8 to $12, this thing is going to get volatile and move to the upside. We are very close for a very bullish move on both of these stocks, AMC and GME stock. So that is what I'm looking at for AMC. Also, if you look at the fear and greed for AMC, you always want to do the opposite of the herd. You can see that AMC is in extreme fear. You want to be buying based off of this. You want to do the opposite of the herd. You want to be buying the bottom and selling the top. This is clearly the bottom. You want to be buying down here, accumulating down here, and then when it goes to the top, you want to be selling. You do not want to be buying up here and accumulating up here, because this is the complacency stage. You're going to see a drop to the downside. You want to be doing the opposite of the herd. I know it's hard, but if you look at the chart, the facts, the data, it is very clear to see what's going on, and you can see based off the fear and greed, it is now time to accumulate AMC before the massive run up to the upside. You can see also as well, short interest is increasing 22.62%. This increase in short interest is extremely bullish. Short interest is the only thing you really need to know. If shorts have not covered, the play is not over. You can see that we have 64% cost to borrow fee, 64% cost to borrow fee. Cost to borrow is going up, putting pressure on the shorts and making it very hard for them to get shares available to borrow. We can see that they have 0 shares available to borrow. This is going to alleviate some of the short pressure that they like to put on us, doing the short ladder attacks, dumping us to the downside with things like this. Over the last 2 weeks, they did the short ladder attacks, dumped us to the downside. You can see that they were using short shares to do that. We went ahead and got above that. And as you guys can see, we are starting to move back to the upside and starting to relieve that short pressure. So we're going to see that movement to the upside. Again, all of these things, confluence of a big bullish week this week and more upside to come this week and the next weeks and continuing into the next months until we see a massive, massive short squeeze. Something that has me very, very excited is the discovery of this ascending triangle here that we're building right here. Once we break that $6.20 high, again, we're going to see AMC pop to the upside very nicely into this golden zone. And once we break that golden zone, it is on for AMC. So you guys can see that the confluence of the bars pattern, the technical analysis, the fundamentals, the psychology, all of these things are telling us that we are in the right play, in the right spot, and doing the right thing. Just need to hold a little bit longer, not financial advice. Let's go ahead and look at GME stock and then wrap up this video. So again, I am a little bit under the weather. I do apologize if this doesn't have the normal energy and my voice sounds a little bit weird, but let's go ahead and hop in the GME. So GME making a very peculiar shape, kind of like the fractals as well. You guys can see multiple patterns inside itself. You can see that this right here, this bullish pennant right here is a small bullish pennant. And then look, you have a bigger bullish pennant. GME also as well on the overall macro technicals. You guys can see that GME is in a massive falling wedge. Very, very bullish for a bullish continuation to the upside, especially once we break this massive falling wedge, what it is working on doing. We see that we had this massive rally to the upside and we got rejected off of that fake sell-off. I bought more shares down here. They are now up at least 10% on those shares. So it is very, very bullish. Looking for this further gap fill to the upside. You guys can see that there's a gap fill here all the way up to 2480. So I do think we're going to push up to at least 2480 before seeing any type of pullback and then probably break out of this ascending sloping resistance as well. That ascending sloping resistance is only at about 2480 as well. So again, GME is setting up for a nasty move. Like, it is very, very obvious that GME is setting up for a ridiculous pump to the upside. Again, not bearish weeks for AMC and GME. It's not going to be bearish. Flash crash is not happening for these stocks, okay? As you guys can see, the technicals, the psychology, the fundamentals are very, very sound. Also, the companies are improving, beating earnings, doing better and better, improving business models, box office popping off, lots of things improving for these two companies, destroying the short thesis. So again, all of these things providing confluence that we're going to see a massive short squeeze, especially here being at the tip of the falling wedge and being squeezed into this pennant for GME. It is very, very exciting as there is little to low room left before we see that push to the upside and the breakout of this macro sloping resistance. So again, it's not if it's going to happen, it is when it is going to happen. If we go ahead and look at GME on the smaller time frame, you guys can see, again, GME is in this overall uptrend after breaking out of this pennant shape. After we have this bottom, then we have this pennant shape, which is a bullish pennant. We are moving to the upside, and I do expect GME to come up to about $24.80, $25 before meeting any type of resistance. We might see some pullback then, consolidate before we make that overall push out of this ascending or out of this ascent or descending sloping resistance, which is the macro falling wedge that I've been showing you guys here. So that is what I'm looking at for GME stock. Again, looking very, very bullish for a green week for GME. I'm expecting us to move to the upside, filling us that gap fill. It's very, very obvious what's happening, and that gap fill leads us right to the breakout point of this ascending triangle, or out of the sorry, I keep mixing it up. Out of the falling wedge, takes us right to the breakout point out of the falling wedge. So we are looking extremely, extremely bullish for GME, especially when there's little to no time left, meeting this macro ascending pennant marked here in yellow, and then this micro ascending pennant marked here in blue. Very, very bullish for GME. And also, again, very, very peculiar how they make the same fractals over and over again. You can see a pennant here, you can see a pennant here, and then if you zoom into the lower time frames, you can see a pennant here. All very bullish signs. Let's go ahead and look at the overall fundamentals for GME stock and then wrap up this video. But I do predict a green week for AMC. I do predict a green week for GME, and I do predict a green week for S&P 500. I think it's going to be actually very bullish week for each of these asset classes. You can see that GME has 60.19% locked up in the float, locked up in the computer share. Also, they used a ton of those short shares to make that fake sell-off. They had over 1 million short shares available to borrow for that fake sell-off, and they did use those fake shares. If we go ahead and look at the short interest for GME, so let's go ahead and type in GME short interest and see what we have as well, and then also look at how they use those short shares during that sell-off. You can see that GME short interest is 20.88%, plenty of short interest for a massive short squeeze. And if we go ahead and look, I don't have enough data bringing us back, but you can see that they have been dumping those short shares, using them up and making it very, very hard for us to move to the upside there, but they are about to run out. They only have 80,000 left. GME has a very small float. Most of it's locked up in computer share and held by retail, which is going to, again, cause a massive movement to the upside. $30 price point is a huge price point for GME. Once GME gets above $30, it is on. It is the golden zone for AMC, like $8 to $12 is the golden zone for AMC. $30 is the golden zone for GME. The first zone is $25. So the same thing as if $620 is to AMC, is to $25 is to GME, if that makes sense. And then as well as the golden zone for AMC is $8 to $12, the golden zone for GME is $30. So once we see it break $30, it's going to get parabolic and get crazy in this thing. Also, another thing that GME is doing, if you go ahead and look at macro patterns, bigger patterns on the bigger time frames, let's go ahead and look at the daily time frame. We have a huge double bottom in play here. GME is in an overall uptrend. The double bottom breakout target is $30 to $40, $30 to $40, maybe even about $50. You can see that we start all the way up here, coming down, making this double bottom off $15 and making this rounded bottom and starting to move back to the upside. Again, if GME gets to $30 to $40, it's going to go parabolic and going to start running to all-time highs. Same thing for AMC. If it gets above $8 to $12, it's going to start running and go to all-time highs and beyond. Once it goes to all-time highs, FOMO will start kicking in, shorts will start covering, especially after the all-time high mark, because we know there are no new shorts. They will have to cover. They will be extremely underwater. All shorts will be underwater. We will see massive capitulation after that price point of all-time highs for these stocks. So guys, this is the video. Hopefully you found it informative. If you did, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe for more content like this. And remember, you can check me out on Twitter and Discord for even more Data Zero updates. And as always, have fun, stay safe, make money. Peace out.
All right, y'all, that was the video. If you found it informative, go ahead and drop a like. And again, you can support me by becoming a member, only $2.99 a month, cancel at any time. You get exclusive HMOs, exclusive access to my channel, and exclusive validation as a member of this channel. $2.99 a month, cancel at any time. Or you can support me for free simply by dropping a comment, pressing like, or subscribing. I truly appreciate each and every one of you that do so. Also, I appreciate each and every one of you that watches this video to the end and has seen this message. As always, have fun, stay safe, make money. Peace out.